First of all, thanks for doing this. I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Long time coming. I'm glad we're doing it in person and not
Likewise.
remotely. And I think what I want to do is start with your origin story, because your path is very unlikely, your path to becoming a scientist. And I think it actually also kind of contextualizes some of the things that I want to talk about with you today. So maybe start there.
Sure. So on the one hand, maybe I was fated to become a scientist. I guess the two things that are relevant there are, I always loved animals, and I've always been obsessed with animal behavior. Like, just could watch Cousteau shows growing up, underwater life or animals hunting, animals doing anything. Is just so fascinating to me, because I think even at a really young age, I've always just been intrigued in sort of what drives different animals to behave in the way they do, and how body form matches to
and how much worse I was making it with smoking every single day. If you're someone who smoked weed for a while, especially if it's like really high potency, you'll know that first high of the day, or when you haven't smoked for a few hours and you take that big rip, or you just hit that vape a little too hard and you get that big wave of like anxiety, panic attack kind of feeling that weed brings on. I remember that feeling, and I look back now and I think like, man, why was I doing that to myself? I feel like my heart was going to explode sometimes, and I don't feel that anymore. And I also don't feel the level of anxiety and depression that I was feeling. It's funny because many of us who end up having a problem with any substance usually are doing it because it's a form of self-medication, and we convince ourselves that the thing is helping. And when you've done it for so long, you don't realize how much it's actually hurting you more. And I will say,
autism isn't just a single thing. There are multiple dimensions to autism, multiple factors.
The fact that it's a multidimensional disorder risks obscuring its central features.
If we just focus on the things that they have challenges with, it's like a deficit model. If we recognize that brains develop differently, and that some brains focus more on systems than they do on people, there's growing evidence that autistic people are better than non-autistic people at understanding systems, at pattern recognition, which is obviously a great asset in a lot of different environments.
So let's talk about how to apply quality peer-reviewed science to your day, and how to optimize everything from sleep to learning, creativity, meal timing, etc. I'm going to do this in the context of my day and what I typically do. I tend to wake up sometime around 6 a.m., 6:30. The first thing I do after I wake up is I take the pen that's on my nightstand and the pad of paper on my nightstand, and I write down the time in which I woke up. The reason for writing down what time I wake up is because I want to know what's called my temperature minimum. I don't care what my actual temperature is. I care when my lowest temperature is, and I know